So I'm recording this immediately after my What is Happening in Spider-Man 3 video, where I just talk about everything that we know so far and talking about the potential plot of the film. I had a realization while writing that, and that is there's a lot of villains in the MCU for Spider-Man. There has been a lot that have been introduced. And basically, I think that there could be a second Sinister Six. So I just wanted to go through all the villains and talk about them for a sec. Because with all of these new leaks and rumors and whatnot, I'm like tallying it. It's like, all right, so this will be a villain, this will be in the Sinister Six, this will be in the Six, all right? But then we go until, now we have 7 villains, now we have 8, and it's like, which ones are gonna get the boot? And so I wanted to tally up everything that we have so far and try and work out who will be in the Sinister Six and who will not, or who will be in a second Sinister Six, rather. So, all the villains in Homecoming, because there's a lot of them. We were introduced to the Vulture, Shocker, Tinkerer, Scorpion, and Prowler. That's a lot of villains, all in one film. We almost have an entire Sinister Six lineup. And yes, the Prowler was introduced as Aaron Davis, Childish Gambino, I believe. I think that's him. However, he obviously isn't a villain yet. And now in Far From Home, we have Mysterio and possibly the Chameleon. Nothing's confirmed there. But this guy, what's his name? Like Matt, Marcus, David, John, what? Dimitri. So a lot of people think that guy is the Chameleon. So I'm just gonna say, yeah, sure, why not? Let's make him the Chameleon. That is the theme of this new phase, is the whole shapeshifting stuff. So having the Chameleon there makes sense. So I'm just gonna go for the sake of it, sure, let's make him the Chameleon. That's 2 more villains in Far From Home, which gives us 7. But now for Spider-Man Homeworlds, which is the potential title for Spider-Man 3, unless it isn't, and depending on when this video comes out, the title may have already been revealed, but I don't know that at this moment. So at the moment, I'm just going to call it Spider-Man Homeworlds. So we have, again, depending on when this video comes out, some of this could have been debunked or changed or whatever, but the villains that we have are Kraven, Electro, and the Green Goblin. Scorpion will also be in the film, but I've already listed him, so there's no reason to list him twice. So that's 10 total villains, which we are very close to 2 sets of the Sinister Six. And so I just wanted to go through a couple possibilities, 2 characters that I do think that will be very, very likely to be introduced moving on after Spider-Man Homeworlds. One of them being Ned Lee, the Hobgoblin. So I think it's pretty clear that Ned will probably become the Hobgoblin. Supposedly that's what their plan was from the beginning. The people at Marvel and Sony, whatever, they were supposedly wanting, and apparently they've been setting up for the Hobgoblin since Homecoming. So we'll have to look back at the films and see where the hints were at. Ned becoming the Hobgoblin makes sense from a comic book standpoint, from apparently they've been hinting at it, and just from a character standpoint because he is the replacement of Harry, and we know that Harry, in the previous 2 iterations of Spider-Man, you know, he goes a little rogue. However, apparently this will be after they graduate from high school, and this is when Ned and Peter start to clash a little bit. So that's interesting. I'm very excited for that, if that's true. That, again, this isn't confirmed. This is just a potential, a likely potential. And now another likely potential, and the leader of the second iteration of the Sinister Six will obviously be the Doc Ock. You can't really do Doc Ock without Norman, and thanks to the potential leak, Norman Osborn is scheduled, rumored to be in Spider-Man Homeworlds. So now that we have Norman, we have Doc Ock. The iteration of him that I'm familiar with is the one where Oscorp burns down, or it's the mansion, something like that, and Dr. Octavius gets the thingy stuck to his chest and stomach, the tentacles, and that's how he becomes the Doc Ock. And I do think that that would be the version of him that we will be seeing in the MCU, just because in the video games and movies so far, they've done the same exact type of character where it's an experiment gone wrong, but in this case, it isn't. It's just a burning fire and he gets melted with them, and it's just a horrible accident. And I think just to be unique, that's what they do. But with all that being said, who will be in the Sinister Six 1 and who will be in the Sinister Six 2. So I believe that the Sinister Six 1 lineup will be the Vulture, Scorpion, Mysterio, Kraven, Electro, and the Green Goblin, with Norman Osborn, Green Goblin, leading the charge. And then in the Sinister Six 2 lineup, I believe that it'll be Shocker, Tinkerer, Prowler, Chameleon, Hobgoblin, and Doc Ock, with Dr. Octavius leading the charge. So obviously one of these lineups is much better than the other. That being the first one, there's a lot more. Every single villain is cool in that one. But then we have the Sinister Six 2, which is a little iffy. Doc Ock, Hobgoblin, Chameleon, and the Prowler all seem like really cool picks, but then there's Shocker and Tinkerer, which are a little bit iffy. With Harry also potentially being in Spider-Man 3, we could see a Venom version of him. Chances are we won't be seeing a Goblin version of him, because if there's 2 Goblins on the Sinister Six, that just doesn't really make too much sense. So chances are we'd see a Venom version of Harry, which will be very cool because we've never seen that on the big screen before. Most likely he'd replace the Tinkerer, and from there we have a pretty solid lineup, I'd say. The Shocker, in my opinion, isn't amazing, but I do think that they can make him work. But there's not much evidence to say that, because it wouldn't really make too much sense for both Harry and Ned to go rogue. I feel like that Harry will be Ned's replacement, maybe, after Ned goes rogue, which I think that will be really cool. But those are 2 potential Sinister Six lineups, unless what they do is just a Sinister 10 or Sinister 12. We could see just a bigger version of the Sinister Six. We definitely could. However, that's unlikely because at this moment Peter is alone. He doesn't really have any allies. However, Miles is supposed to be introduced, which makes sense for him to be involved with the second iteration of the Sinister Six with the Prowler, right? And the Hobgoblin, which is originally a Miles villain. So basically, that's kind of it. I just wanted to talk about the villains so far and the potential villains and where they would fit in this Sinister Six. Anyway, that's it for this video. What do you think? Who do you think is going to be in the first Sinister Six lineup? Because I think that my picks are pretty solid. Vulture, Scorpion, Mysterio, Kraven, Electro, Green Goblin. I think they're all pretty likely. But then there's the Sinister Six 2 lineup, which is a little bit more iffy. What do you think about that one? Shocker, Tinkerer, Prowler, Chameleon, Hobgoblin, and Doc Ock. I think that's a pretty cool lineup. But let me know what you think down below. How likely do you think it'll be? And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.